And what is up, people? Back with another episode of the Darkened Hour. Here we talk about things like comic books, movies, and other things related to nerd culture. Here with me, I have our usual host, but he's taking a back seat on today. So this is our boy.
Hi, Joshua X the Heart. How you guys doing?
We have
TL above.
an old villain, my villain.
Hurrah. Talk to me like a villain. Don't talk to me at all.
And of course, I'm Aesop the Alchemist leading off this episode. And today's episode is going to be a very specific topic. We're going to talk about Bad Boys 3, Sauron invades LA. So,
Wow.
I'm tired.
Wait.
Yes.
That just shot me out.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
show
You know
is
what? The things
done.
between you guys, I was.
These past
Really?
2 weeks, he couldn't wait to say that.
That was so good.
He was like,
he held that in for the longest.
he was like,
I can
wait,
imagine.
just wait till
I
the
was
episode
making
starts.
jokes before I even watched it.
Bad
Wait till
Boys
this starts.
3.
Every time I saw that trailer, I was like, okay, so this is World of Warcraft and Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
thrown into a bowl. Then we take Training Day and we take Bad Boys 2 and we throw it into that bowl, mix the fuck out of it, and then we get
It was a
Bright.
cauldron. It was like,
Yeah.
it was a cauldron.
And I thought it was going to be the goofiest thing ever, and it actually surprised me. I mean, granted, a lot of my jokes still did come to pass.
It Kingdom Hearts you. It Kingdom Hearts
It did.
you.
I was like, oh, this is going to be goofy, but it ended up being good along with some of the goofiness.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I like the subtle jabs that they throw at real life society.
Oh, heal my heel.
Yeah,
There he is,
so-
the Duke. That ass Duke. Hurrah.
So,
Sup,
for,
that ass.
so for those who haven't seen Bright, which is surprising because it's been out for like a month now,
Yeah.
and YouTube ads were all over the place, so it's surprising if you haven't seen it because the free movie is on Netflix. Like, who hasn't seen it? It basically starts off kind of introducing the world on how like the orcs are pretty much getting the same treatment as minorities are, where they're pretty much abused. Everyone looks down upon them, and I like how the society is built up on who runs the world. You have the elves run the world, humans are in second place, and then orcs are like the bottom of the barrel. But yet human racism is still there, which is pretty funny. Then there's like the cultural racism or cultural like injustice that's still there. So it's a pretty good movie. But before I go into depth on like where they hate real life society things like that, let's go around the table and figure out what everybody liked and why'd you watch, because all of us saw at least more than one. So what made you enjoy it the first time and what made you watch it the second time? I'll start with the Powerpuff.
Oh,
It's funny because I was just to say the Powerpuff Girl.
The
yeah.
The Powerpuff villain. I'm going to call it that.
Powerpuff villain.
Now, I have a villain name for
like,
everyone.
what's a seducer?
Seducer, yeah, your hair is.
Seducer.
If it wasn't for the headphones, you wouldn't have this wavy Seducer
The
hair.
I
the
forgot
totally,
she existed. She
Yeah,
was
me
a-
too.
Yo,
The
I'm not gonna
totally
lie.
adult-themed villainess of
2
Powerpuff
weeks ago,
Girls.
I saw a Tumblr post of Seducer fighting Miss Bellum, so it was like it's pretty. ironic.
Yes, and she in Miss Bella. Oh God, we're gonna talk about Powerpuff Girls
I'm
episode.
tripping.
Change the title.
I'm so tripping. I forgot she wasn't a thing.
She wore stockings and a corsair to
Yeah,
fight.
legit.
yo.
Okay, let's not
Him
get
anyhow.
lost. Let's
Her
not get
and
lost.
him are my
Oh,
spirit
him is
animals.
everything.
They're horrible.
Okay.
They're horrible. They're not for kids at all.
Okay.
Villains.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I remember watching it first time. I wanted to see what the hoopla was all about. I thought it was solid the first time, and it's a buddy cop with fantasy elements tossed in the mix and whatnot. But when I watched it again, I started to see the cracks a little bit, screenplay wise or whatnot. Not a whole lot explained about the backgrounds of some of these characters. Only showing elves and orcs when there have been mentions of other creatures. You see a centaur, which was cool.
You see a dragon at one point.
Yeah, but then it's like, okay. The only thing about, because it's supposed to be a metaphor for racism and everything, and it got uncomfortable to me when people was referring to orcs as literal black people, and I'm like, let's not, because I thought that was offensive. I'm like, if that's the first place you go to, that says something about where you're standing at. If that was, because he was to say for all minorities who are oppressed or whatnot. I didn't see him specifically coded as black. But when I watched it again, Will Smith has this way of delivering lines that is one of a kind. That's why he makes the big bucks. And he's just so affable. Even as a salty officer he's supposed to be, he was saltier as this officer than he was as Deadshot, which is bizarre to me. Like, he was so hardcore and such a jerk. And he doesn't really change. He starts that way from the beginning, and he ends up that way. Jacoby starts off as kind of a doofus. He ends up kind of still as a doofus. You know what I mean? And I could have asked more of a more character development that way. Like, he should be way more disillusioned with law enforcement, being that he almost got killed. Like, 4 officers were going to murder him. Will Smith still doesn't consider him a friend. even if he's trying to be like, he's taking a jab at him. Maybe they're close now, but he's just, hard exterior. I want to show my feelings or nothing. Maybe he's that type. But I don't know. I just, and the one line that people brought to my attention and watching it again, fairy lives don't matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was done. It was a knee-jerk response. I did laugh at
That's
it.
cringy.
I'm not going to lie to you. It was funny, but then I watched it
cringy.
again. I'm like, oh no, this is a terrible joke.
Yeah.
But
it was just
works.
done at the expense. Like, you remember the joke we made a long time ago when we watched? We read Power Rangers
Yeah,
versus
we said
Justice League.
Black Lives Matter.
It was Black Lives Matter, but that wasn't at like black people's expense. It was like because it was literally fit into. They all want to protect him.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
literally the Black Ranger. Like, it was
Yeah.
literally fitting. But then he's
So,
like,
you
fairy
have
lives don't matter today.
Yeah. So you have the contrast with how that joke was used. Fairy lives don't matter. He's literally smashing this poor little
Literally
fairy to
killing it.
bits. Who to me, that's the real oppressed minority because everyone's okay with that. They're they're clearly sentient beings.
And then but then you listen to how like the
Yeah.
as a young gangster shit, I'm trying to sell a house. Like how the neighbors were even
Yeah.
responding to it. It was like, oh look, this is a dirty cop. Watch how you do this. It was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they knew
Yeah.
this was gonna be a horrible thing. And
Yeah, they knew. And like, oh, maybe they're the unsung little oppressed minority, which I would have liked a little backstory as to why they're a nuisance. Why not just set him free? Like, tell him to leave. I don't know. Like, capture him and take him to a sanctuary or something. You know what I mean? It just felt really odd. And one thing that I noticed that kind of bothered me slightly was that, okay, you remember Rodriguez, the captain
Yeah,
and stuff?
the
He can
Mexican
acknowledge
guy.
that he was Mexican. But Will Smith has never referred to himself as black, not once. Not one time. And I'm like, strange. That's a strange thing not to talk
but that's
about.
not really a thing to pick either, because the only reason he referred himself as Mexican is only because of the line, why are orcs always the bad guys? And he says, oh, hey, don't look at me, Mexicans still get shit for the Alamo. That's the only time he really mentions that.
But to say that fairy lives don't matter, that's a very specific joke.
yeah.
That's a very specific joke to make, and it's like it's such a current kind of thing, and that's a touchy
It places it
spot.
very close to our universe. to
Yeah,
where-
it's very, very close. So they're telling
Yeah.
me, did black people endure the same things over the course of history,
Yeah.
or is this something where that just didn't happen, or does he see himself as a cop before he's a black guy? You know what I mean? Because he told that orc, "Oh, are you gonna choose Klan over orc over being a cop?" And I'm like, interesting.
But then that's also the metaphor to real life, too.
Yeah, because then that's also that happens as well.
Yep.
So I guess he didn't want to paint him as like he's not a hero. He's technically the bad guy. If you want to get it down to Will Smith is kind of the bad guy in this one. He's not particularly likable, and I think that's an interesting one. I think people didn't want to see that. People want to see good old Men in Black,
Hero.
Independence
Save the
Day. They want to see the hero.
Welcome to Earth,
Welcome
fairies.
They want to see that, and I think that's why people didn't like it.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. So overall, I don't hate it. I don't think it deserves a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. I
have not seen the score yet. Is it that
27.
bad?
I actually looked it
It's
up before I
gotten
got here.
BVS score? Get out of here.
It's not. To me, I've seen movies do better with this type of subject matter. Like
Right,
Zootopia did a
right.
better job talking about minorities.
But I mean, then again, this is Rotten Tomatoes, okay?
Yeah.
This is the thing
Oh,
that-
and Rotten Tomatoes is biased, clearly.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
they
definitely.
have their issues.
With Sharknado, with sitting at what 83% right now,
Sharknado, yeah, and that's like
and
the
the
dumbest
room
thing.
just about it's ridiculous. Like, come on,
Trash
it's,
film's a
it's-
thing, I mean,
Listen, like,
it's a thing. This, and honestly, with the way I felt about it is, I've seen movies deal with this kind of subject matter better. That's why it can't be like. Zootopia was a CGI film with furry animals, and it did a better job talking about police injustice, cultural nuances, oppression.
because it was a comedy.
And when I watched it, there were certain scenes I'm like, okay,
Yeah, no doubt.
but it stuck. It built this world, predator and prey. It showed you background. It showed you setup. It wasn't all exposition. That's all I felt that Bright was giving me. So it set up this universe. It had its rules. It had its layers. You saw the hierarchy, and it followed through. You learned something new at the end. The characters are different from they were at the beginning or the end. Bright just didn't deliver in that perspective. And doesn't make a horrible movie, but it could have used a rewrite. I would have rewritten it. But that's just me.
Okay. Cool.
You?
Well, first of all, Will Smith is always Will Smith in every movie.
Every
Just
movie,
like-
he's not-
just like Morgan Freeman. It is, and just like
No, Morgan Freeman is.
who else? Like Keanu Reeves. They're always the same.
Johnny Depp.
Either
The one note.
He's either the
One note
Fresh
actor.
Prince or he's either
Yeah, he's either one of the two characters, yeah.
or Will Smith from Men in Black. There's just no way. It's just
No,
him.
Fresh Prince
Is Men in
Jay-
Black,
right.
just
Yeah.
older.
The only
Yeah.
difference
Right,
is
right.
Agent J or Mike Lowry.
Right, there you
Those
go.
are the two characters.
And
You're right.
And that's why he excels. And this is why Morgan Freeman and Keanu Reeves are always good because they're dynamic. they're dynamic in real life, and they're also dynamic in this movie. Look at like you said in this movie, there's no change from the beginning to the end. He's still the same prick, cynical prick that he was from the beginning. Because at the end of the day, he's a cynical prick in this movie.
Yeah,
he didn't want to help anybody. He just wanted to mind his own business, and that was the whole point of the movie. Is that let's take a lot. He's a relatable character, extremely relatable.
Someone's got enough on their
enough
plate,
baggage to deal with. You saw at the beginning of the movie with his wife, with his, you know, and then, yeah, fairy lives matter. Not today, not in this fucking background. No, not in this backyard. No way, because he had his own things to deal with. But yeah, he is a dynamic character. I specifically, I like his dynamic. I like the entire his dynamic persona, because even at the end, he still didn't consider the ogre his friend, and that was fine.
Orc.
Because
You call them an ogre?
or because
He did call him a Shrek-looking motherfucker.
Oh,
Right.
that was
Yeah.
funny. I'm not
Right,
gonna lie.
right.
That was
That
funny.
was funny.
That was a good joke. See, that's a good
That
joke.
was good.
and
That was good.
It was he was more self-aware than anything. He knew who he was. He knew he's like, oh, you don't want to be my friend, buddy. It's not gonna happen.
because he's an asshole to everybody.
Exactly. You know, and come on, at the end of the day, once we get to a certain age, we don't give a damn. It's just who we are is who we are. This movie touched on all aspects. I mean, I might be looking a little too into it, but I think it's yeah, they masked it with, you know, Dungeons and Dragons and Warcraft, but at the end of the day, it's a slice of life movie that we're living every single day. Next movie, I think they set up the whole fairy thing for the second part of the movie, because we already seen the elves.
Yeah,
We've seen the
we saw a
dragons.
lot of 'em.
We saw a little splink of the fairies. I think the next movie is going to be elves, dragons. They're going to add a little more.
Centaurs,
sprinkle.
hopefully.
Centaurs.
Because that was cool.
Yeah.
Amazing, right? My favorite part of this movie are the elves. Easily, by far.
The guy, the
cleanest
the
dude
clean
in-
dude, the
Oh.
Fed.
Yo.
He was amazing.
Yeah, if you
he's-
act like my enemy,
he's
you
great.
become my enemy.
Yeah.
I wish he did more, but like he was
Yeah.
suave as hell
I mean, this
All
was
the
a
elves are
test.
so well dressed. What?
because they're rich as shit.
They're the Indians.
They run. No, they're not really.
No?
They're
I don't know what they're coded for.
What they would be, because they can't be coded to specific any like race in the real world, because they are all around all successful, like completely all successful. Because like they can't be the Indians, because if you look at actual like areas in India, there's some pretty rough areas in India. And
Oh,
there's, like,
yeah,
the richer
poverty.
Well, no,
parts.
I'm talking like individuals, like those who actually own, who actually rule the world at this point. Casinos and individuals.
They're like
who,
they're one percenters, man. That's all.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Their
true.
entire culture of one percenters. All of them are like millionaires because they have magic and stuff like that. So
Right
that
now,
helps as well.
they remind me more of the underworld death dealers. That's who they remind me a lot of. Their aesthetics, their look, they're just
Everyone's
that
sharp.
damn suave.
like them Inferni elves, though.
Yeah.
Inferni elves are dangerous.
Mhm.
Synchronized killing.
I like the inclusion of the wands. That's cool. They could have. I think they could have just not used a wand. But I mean, I guess if it had to be a source. Well, hey,
wand
include
is
the wand,
cliche.
right? So cliche. You know, this movie. I'm not sure if they relied more on the political side of it first, and then they decided to add the D&D mask over it, or decided to do a D&D, and then it was like, oh, it's cool if we modernized it. I don't know exactly what came first, because I think if we found out what came first, we would get a little more a bigger piece of what they were actually trying to go for here. I'm not sure if they're just trying to appease, like, oh, this is cool, or hey, this is what's really going on, but we're not really gonna show you exactly what's going on. We're just gonna, paint a nice picture over it. But this is definitely a movie to see just maybe one time. I saw it a second time
It was like,
because I mean, it's straight in your face. You just can't miss these messages. Subliminal as they may be, they're straight in your face.
Oh, it's overt.
It's just straight.
no
like,
subs.
Not at all.
The at button.
Right. And I think Will Smith killed it.
Yeah, he did a great job.
He killed it. Yeah, you could have used any other person with this. It's sure, but it's Will Smith. He will keep it real to the ends of the earth here.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Will Smith?
Exactly.
It's impossible.
Right. So I guess I liked it. I mean, do we do a score? Do I
I
give my
mean,
own
we're not done.
individual
We still gotta
score?
hear the villain.
True.
You gotta talk about what he.
What
Yeah, I
he
mean-
gathered.
I loved it. Like, I absolutely dug the concept. Even when I first saw the first trailer, I was like, "This is gonna be jazzy." Like, I knew off the rip. Like, just Lord of the Rings meets Bad Boys. Like you mixed it up earlier. I was like, "This is gonna be amazing." Like, what hasn't been done before, and that's like one of those things you can look at. Like, all right, that hasn't been done. you know, wizards in the hood and all that jazz.
Wizards in the hood.
But
Hashtag Black
for
Harry
real.
Potter.
I think the concept itself carries it enough for me where I can love it.
Mm-hmm.
But the flaws poke out. Like you
Yeah.
can definitely see the
Yeah.
flaws there. But it didn't stop me from loving it. I still can look at it and say I can appreciate this kind of movie. Like and I can say like, wow, this is something that hasn't been thought of before, and I can appreciate it. But there's a lot of things that stick out like really bad that can really be offensive to anyone. Like you kind of look at it. This movie is tackling social issues and racism, but at the same time, it's also trying to simplify it by giving it like some kind of origin and some kind of like beginning and end.
Like a reason. For
So, since back in the day, the orcs are looked at as evil because they teamed up with the Dark Lord. So, there was one orc who betrayed the Dark Lord and teamed up with all the other races, and together they stopped the Dark Lord. Now, orcs are still hated because of that one reason, because they joined the Dark Lord. It's like teaming up with Satan. That's like, if orcs are supposed to be black people, that's like saying that all black people did something
to deserve
this form of
That's where
racism
it
that they're
falls
going
apart.
for. And that's why the second thing you brought up, they're saying that if you're placing this that close to our world where Shrek exists, where the Black Lives Matter exists, then you're pretty much saying that where was I going with this?
that orcs. Like you said, orcs deserve
You're
it.
you're
You
pretty
know what
much
I mean?
saying that
their oppression is deserved.
exactly. You're pretty much saying that black
People deserve the oppression that they
they're
experience
going through.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're also saying, which everyone that look at this on a simple, like on a surface, you're kind of looking at it saying, oh yeah, orcs are black people. But then you're also saying that black people are stupid because orcs are dumb. Like they are.
Yeah,
This
they're
guy
gonna-
couldn't shoot to save anybody, to save himself, to save
Jacoby,
anybody.
yeah, he was a
Jacoby,
stormtrooper.
How did you make the training, my
they
guy?
want you to sympathize with Jacoby because he's oppressed. But then again, they throw these things in your face to make you say, like, no, this guy
He's
is
just doofy,
dumb.
yeah.
Like, this guy is stupid. Like, look at him. Like, this is the face that humans make when they're mad. And, like, show me the face that orcs make when they shut
show me the face. Show. Yeah.
Yo, okay,
Yeah.
that was funny.
Like, they really make it so you look at this guy like, no, he's dumb. Like, there's a reason why you cannot like this person. But at the same time, you can't relate with it because there's no culture on Earth that you look at and there's that simple of an answer. Like, yeah, they teamed
Yeah.
up with this
Exactly,
guy,
yeah.
and that's why they're hated. Or, no, they're stupid. Like, this whole race, this whole culture of people is dumb. And it's like, no, that does not exist in humanity.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
not a simple way of saying, hey, look at this story about racism. This is the simple answer, the simple solution for why, you know, any group of people can be hated and oppressed.
Yeah, and
That's super offensive. And if you think about it, like
Yeah,
that's
it
a horrible
really
thing to
is.
say.
And you know the thing is that racism itself is illogical. It is not
Yeah.
based in reality.
It's
It is
hard.
not based. And I think the film kind of exposes like, hey, they this thing, and I'm like, how come they're still being this way? But that reflects real life. You know
And
what I mean?
then you kind of think about it, like we have the X-Men, where the X-Men are multicolored, multicultural. You know, they all have different powers. They're not all simplified by the answer, like, no, they're dumb and they did this and this is why they all must be hated. No, there's numerous reasons. There's good X-Men, there's bad X-Men, there's black ones, there's white ones, there's ones that look like lizards. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you can say like, all right, there's those that are evil and those that are good, but there's no simple margin of these. This whole group of X-Men of mutants are dumb.
And-
Or you ever seen a orc play basketball?
Oh
You
yeah,
ever seen
to
a-
have Hopsy.
There's
this
no
is not
moment.
Racism, this is just
I got kind of
business.
salty.
There's
Got
no
kinda mad.
moment in X-Men history where like a human says to a mutant like, "Oh, you ever seen a mutant play baseball?"
Yeah.
Like never. Like that's never said something like that. And then when you have something to juxtapose it, that's so near, like what happened on Rick and Morty, that one episode where they tackled almost the same exact issues, and it's almost like the same movie. Like
Yeah.
you kind of think about it, that episode where
Let me see.
on the Citadel of Ricks.
Oh,
This is almost the same exact movie, and you're kind of like thinking to yourself, like, "Wow, Rick and Morty tackled this
In
exact
22
topic
minutes.
in 22 minutes
And did it better.
and nailed it, like,
Nailed it to the wall.
like nailed it." And then you have this 2-hour long, like exposition heavy disaster, and it's like the concept is definitely more out there and more
I was feeling
amazing.
the concept. The concept
Yeah, the
is great.
concept would carry this thing, but like, wow, you guys tried to do something to
didn't
make
know what it
people
wanted to
think,
be.
to start conversations, to say, wow, like look at this. But no, you place it too close to our own world, but at the same time you made it unrelatable. Like no culture can say, oh yeah, we're like the orcs, because if you think that way, then you're pretty much saying
You
your
are
entire
the
group of
problem,
people
yeah.
are stupid.
You're the root of the problem in reality.
Like yeah, and that's the biggest problem with this thing.
And,
Yeah.
and here's
Like-
the funniest thing about. Oh, I'll let you finish up.
Like that's pretty much was the end of it, but it's pretty much just that. Like you can't. It's unrelatable in any way. You can't say that
And it's
I'm that person.
the best thing
I'm
because
oppressed.
exactly that's what makes the movie good, because it is unrelatable. The thought of, oh, this is racist, or orcs are black people, or the elves are Jewish, which I did see people relating.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
people
that
say
was
that
kind
too.
of annoying.
And cops are like cops in real life. Okay, but then all these theories or comparisons are only made by those who view it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
basically what this movie is a person in a circle, and this person in a circle is just emitting sounds. Everyone can hear it differently. This is their own way of perception. So it's not a circle, it's like an amoeba, an ever-changing shape as the movie goes on. Some people get closer because they understand you better, and some people get further. These views that we're seeing are all based on the audience's personal perception and the way they see society.
I agree with
That's
that. Yeah.
where this movie stands out so strong, which is why I had to watch it multiple times. And the more I watched, the more it got goofier to me, because I stopped. Like you said, the message is punching you in the face from the first time you
Yeah.
watch
You
it.
thought the easy
After
one.
that, I actually wanted to see the story and the world they were creating. You know, because like you start listening to the meaningless characters like Poison, the gang leader who was in a wheelchair. You start
yeah.
listening to the guy the orc who had the
He was
son.
awesome too, by
You know,
the
like,
way. I need
all
that
the
one
side
to
char-
walk.
Yeah, like all
I
the
wanna
side
walk
characters you
again.
start to pay attention to when you start watching
Yeah.
it a little bit more. But like the main message is that it was more so a stab at police brutality. At the
Yeah,
end of the day,
sure.
most of it was
And
just
corruption.
how the flunky system, the judicial system, that's how flunky it is, and that's what this movie is really hitting at. The racism and the oppression is just an easy way to express that, because police do express brutality on those who don't have a word in society, who can't speak or fight for themselves, and society itself does not allow them to speak for themselves. Hence, Jacoby let the kid go, because at the end of the day, he was going to be another Trayvon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
a hooded orc. But
or-
then what you're saying right there is kind of like
Relating it to-
contradictory. You're trying to relate it
It's
to
still
black
relating
people.
to real life, but
yeah,
no,
that's
but
horrible.
no, relating it to black people by specified
The
black
hoodie,
kid.
itself is definitely a
The hoodie itself,
a wink and nod.
But then that's why I'm going with people who
Yeah.
can't fight for themselves in society, because this was just a kid who was just in the wrong place at some stupid wrong time, and then they just instantly place him on a bad guy just because of what his background entails. Not him personally, it's his background. And when it comes to that, because the guy who shot him was Hispanic, so that's not really labeling anybody race. That's why I use that as an example, because this is just an innocent kid who got caught up in something he was never a part of.
yeah.
So when it goes to the other scene where it shows when they went to their first call, they're pulling up in a car and they're seeing two orcs getting beat up. And everyone's just watching. No one's trying to stop it. Something we see in reality all the time. Doesn't matter what race you are. When police are doing what they do, people just watch and record with their cell phones.
No, not to cut you off. Go ahead. Sorry.
So then taking it a step further into the movie, then we start seeing the actual inner turmoils of being a police officer, where even though Will Smith, or what is his character, Ward, he shows that he is a cynical person, but he is not a bad man. Not in any means. Yes, he doesn't want the orc as his partner, because everybody's looking bad at him because of the orc, but he still accepted him as a partner. His salt comes from letting him get shot. So when he's in a locker room and all the other cops around him are playing the role of the
Very broy.
prejudice, like very
Yeah.
like prejudice,
bro,
like
biget.
bigot idiots. Like
No,
they're like,
Friends
oh,
of
I'll
Hu-
put the
Douchebag.
Friends of
Douchebag.
Humanity.
Yeah.
You guys remember the '90s X-Men show? They had the Friends of Humanity. Oh my
Friends of
god, that was the KKK version of that cartoon
Oh
show.
God!
You guys don't remember that?
No, I've not seen that.
That is a horrible name for an evil group of people.
Friends of Humanity.
Anyway, yeah.
So so it starts, like I said, like as the movie goes, you start to see more and more how like this is more a police to police kind of movie, because then we see the douchey cops. We even see like the captain's kind of douchey, because then she brings internal affairs, and they're threatening to even fire Ward just because he doesn't want to what's the word? Not set up, but like pretty much trick Jacoby into getting himself fired. Like, oh, you don't want to like tag along and like blackmail this orc into getting fired, then we're gonna like blackmail you and like, oh, you got a house payment you want to keep up with. Like, they're threatening him, so that's what made him step into corruption, which is a common thing in reality, where it doesn't matter what race you are, because if you have good intentions but your superiors don't, they will literally blackmail you or back you into a corner where you have to follow that unwritten police code. I mean, like, that doesn't say this is more of a police to police kind of movie, because that stuff happens in real life. Like we've seen it in New York, we've seen it in North Carolina, we've seen it in LA, where there has been groups of police officers of all kinds of background, be white, Hispanic, black, Asian, where they've even admitted it was like, they left the force because we were told by our superiors to do this or target these specific people.
Stop
You
and
know?
frisk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie's stabbing at in that scene. Then it goes further where they find the wand and we see the true corruption in these officers. And then that's where it stops stabbing at reality and it jumps into the fantasy more often. That's where they take a break from the whole like relate this to reality. So when it goes, we get like the cliche, you know, Mexican gangs. It's like, okay, we see this in every movie. I'm surprised Hector wasn't playing the gang leader.
I'm sure he was there in the background somewhere.
I'm really surprised he wasn't in this.
Training
I
Day.
know who you're talking about without even knowing
No,
who
that
you're
he's
talking
Hector
about.
in every movie.
Yeah,
He's
I
always
know.
a gang leader. It's funny. I was
Exactly.
surprised he wasn't in the movie. But like, then it gets a little more fantasy, and that's why I said every time I watch the movie, I start paying more attention to fantasy, and it's like, it's a relief. It's a weight off the shoulder, and that's why I like this movie so much because it comes in with the gritty stuff where you, as a person, you start judging yourself and your own perception on reality if you're that wise enough. Because there are people who just look at it, oh, this movie's stupid. It's Lord of the Rings with Bad Boys too. It's like you're not trying to hear the message that it's delivering, and you're kind of like those people who Boondocks was making fun of when it came to the R. Kelly episode. You know, it's like, don't like try to sound cool. Oh yeah, we'll take R. Kelly side because he does good music, but he did something wrong, and then it goes back to this movie. This movie's trying to deliver a message on how we as a people are caught in the system where like there's people who rule the world, like we see the elves, the government, and the rich who run the world. They pay off the cops to do their duties on the lesser people because that's how they get their money. You're too busy making fun of the Lord of the Rings aspect and not seeing the message. And that's where I feel like you said Rotten Tomatoes gave it a low score. That's where I feel they're not looking at the message that it's delivering, whereas it's right in your face. But they're too busy nitpicking at the other half of the movie where it starts jumping into
It's not
actual
easy to
fantasy.
not look at it that way, though.
You'd be surprised how many people are ignorant to it.
But I mean the other way. I mean, it's not easy to say this is a critique of you know, the police and the.
Well, not necessarily, but like I said, it's more.
It's so
that
shoved
than
down
the
your
race-
throat. Those comments like oh, you got an orc in your car, or like when she leaned over and said, hey, is that orc your cousin? And remember when she had like a picture of one that just got locked up?
Oh yeah, that
was
definitely.
rude.
But
I agree with what you're saying, but you can't be mad at, or not just mad, but you have to understand why people look at it that way. Like they're looking at it like, well, this is about black people and cops. Because of the fact that they shoved this down your throat.
they do shove it down.
They hit you with these little
Yeah,
hits.
like winks and nods. and
NFL nod.
Yeah.
80% of players are black.
It's not even. It's not even hints.
it's
like,
not
It's
hints.
not even
Put
hints.
it in
the face.
It's
It's
like he
put
said.
in.
It shoves it
It-
down
it's
people's
shoving.
throats.
So if you didn't want people to read it as black, then don't use those kind of signifiers.
Yeah, like
There were plenty of things you could use.
You
to
can.
just
I agree with everything you're saying, but yo, there's a lot of stuff, and you can't blame for people for looking at
feel
that
some
and
type of
saying,
way.
Oh no,
like,
I
damn.
definitely
Whoa.
say, but I'm going
Whoa.
at the people who aren't looking at the messages.
Yeah.
Like the people who aren't giving this movie a chance because of the fan. That's what I was saying. I
Oh
was
yeah,
saying
Okay.
people
watch
who aren't
it.
giving
And
this.
I mean,
then
and
respond.
think about it. Like people who watches this movie and I don't know what this message is. Are you living under
Are you
rock?
living under a rock?
Why are
Yeah,
you looking
like,
at this
it's
movie?
clear as
It
day.
cannot be as clear as day. Come on.
It is.
elementary.
If you're
It's
saying the
1 plus
movie is
1.
about, if you're saying the movie is a critique of the police force in today's
That's
world,
also look. That's the thing. I found that
that's easy to see, but there's also
The movie
that huge
is
layer.
because if it wasn't for Jacoby being a main character, we would not have seen the constant racism. That's where I'm
Yeah.
stabbing.
I mean,
at.
there's a reason why he's
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
cop. There's
exactly,
a reason
yeah.
why the two main characters are cops.
Yeah,
because
it's a
they're
police
touching on everything.
Yeah.
You know, sure, some things more than the others, but they're touching on everything. Like I said, they're just putting the preset of the little mask of, you know, D&D, but they're touching on everything. Racism, cop brutality, everything.
And it's
They
like-
missed that one comment. I'm sorry to knock you off,
Uh,
but they missed that one comment, like you said earlier, that Will Smith doesn't acknowledge that he's black. If there was that one piece of empathy inside of Will Smith to look at his orc partner and say,
would think.
black people have been through that, so no, I'm not going to be so hard on you. Because, man, I'm a black cop. Like, my
Black cop
own
in
people
LA.
are looking at me like, whoa, he's on the other side now.
Yeah.
He's not one of us.
That would have been some
That
nuance.
empathy should have been there in him.
That's
And
what I was saying. His
His
empathy-
character was missing that.
I didn't see a lot. Yeah, it was
That
a
would've
little bit of
been
that, but
nice.
Yeah.
it was hardly there because he was too
It was
busy.
hardly.
He was too salty about the incident of him
Yeah.
being shot.
Which
that's why I like what you
understand.
said,
Yeah.
where the background story kind of would have helped us understand
Yeah.
the world they were in a little bit.
Maybe
because-
that got cut. That seems like something. Wwho wouldn't put that in the script, like, and
listen,
say,
let's
like,
come out
that
with
should have been the start of the movie,
Yeah.
not him waking up for work.
like, yo, I can
the start of the movie
empathize.
should have been that actual mission where we see them together as
Or maybe,
partners, and
yeah.
him like, all right, I got this goofy rookie with me. That's how he treats Jacoby as the rookie, because he is a rookie.
Yeah, clearly.
But him getting shot and then him going to they take clan laws. That's where we start off in the movie. We don't see him looking at him as a rookie. We see him as looking clan.
He needed
laws.
to be able to empathize with him a little bit.
Because his daughter did, and that's what I found interesting. Because that was another message: how children are innocent and they see people equally unless they're taught to be hateful.
Well, she was being told by her mom.
Everybody hates.
She asked her like, "Why do you hate orcs?" to the daughter, and the daughter said, "Because mom said orcs are dumb."
Yeah,
like she did make that comment, so you can see her being already trained by the mom to think that way.
It was good, Jeps.
That mark. but yeah, like the movie is missing so many like little tiny comments that would have saved a lot of its ass.
Yeah,
like definitely.
There's a lot of things it could have used to help it better.
Yeah.
It needed that rewrite. It should have that screenplay should have just not got
greenlit. Okay, so let me
put it back and do it again.
Marv is an orc.
Yeah.
So you guys are saying that because I mean they were just trying to handle racism, right? That's one of the.
Well, I'm not saying that.
He's not saying that. He's saying it's a critique of police brutality.
I mean, I think it's. Obviously, it's everything. It's clear today. It's they touch on everything. But now, like I said, some more than others.
A little unfocused at times.
Because I mean, they try to fit everything in a 2-hour movie. I think it is. Right?
2 hours is a long movie, though. 2 hours,
while still expressing their fantasy story that they actually have.
But they sat there and they sat on too many topics for too long. That scene in the shower where they're like talking to Will Smith about having the guy in his car could have been a little shorter and a little less exposition heavy.
Oh, you're trying to
like, my uncle was in Russia fighting for these orcs and all this stuff. Like, yo, okay, we heard the story.
You mad though?
Now,
big mad.
You guys are saying that they could have used a little more
show and tell type
right
of
now.
thing.
Exactly.
Now, if they were just
less
trying to
tell, more show.
Now, if they were trying to go for the to show in the most simplistic way is racism, do you guys think that they hit the mark in terms of orc, humans, elf?
No.
Do you think? I honestly
think they
in
did.
the most simplistic way possible.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you
With
can't
a
say that
mask,
simply.
I believe. I'm sorry.
I mean,
you can be racist. Very.
They did it, and they even did
Racism is
it. Ironically,
incredibly
you even
complex.
compared it. It's
Exactly.
literally just like in World of Warcraft.
I mean, it can definitely get
You
complex.
simplify it, you dismiss it as a problem.
No, I agree. It can.
That's
it can
why
be
they stopped saying
very
stopped
complex.
saying that Professor X was Martin Luther King because of that same reason, because it simplifies it. It's not as simple as MLK is bad and Malcolm X is good, or vice versa. That's why they stopped making that comparison a long time ago.
It's an easy one, but it's not.
It's not.
There's no subtlety.
It's
in
shades.
That.
There's so many shades. Like Malcolm X is not a bad dude, but then again, he's done some shady stuff. And then Martin Luther King,
rhetoric,
there's stuff coming out about him that's like him having an affair or all this other jazz.
He's human.
Yeah, like,
and people forget that.
That's what the movie needed to end on. Like,
okay, so this is great because now we're
On
going.
the
Now we're just stirring the pot here. What is racism? What is racism?
When you look at
definitions,
someone, when you look at the internal hatred of when your internal hatred is caused by the appearance of someone or their culture.
Okay.
Right.
T.
Well, it's the oppression of another race.
Perfect. Ra.
Racism.
He doesn't know what racism is.
I mean, it's.
He lives in Warcraft.
It's such a complex.
It's funny because you know why it's complex because we all have our own definitions. But book wise, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What you said makes sense.
Because racism. I'm gonna cut you off because there's prejudice and there's racism.
Yeah,
right?
I used to say that
there
all the time.
has to be
Thank you.
prejudice.
Right.
Everyone has a prejudice.
Yes.
And whatnot. Oppression is the act of
Yes.
using law, of using the media, of using your political power to oppress another group based on their
Yes.
appearance, their ethnicity, their nationality. That is racism because it is action.
So
Police brutality and racism are intertwined.
And that's why I said this. That's
they are locked into one.
In this movie, that's being said.
Yeah.
Does this demonstrate and part this?
It actually does.
Yes, in a sense,
Perfect.
yes, it does.
Now, with that being said,
does it do it well?
I mean, but mind you,
tried.
people make movies just to get one point across. Again, the
It did
dynamic side, they didn't care about the dynamic side.
Yeah.
They can do that second movie, third movie.
That
First
hurts,
movie,
though, saying that.
it did not because right
I
now
You
think
need
it
a
does.
foundation.
they're making a
think it
second
does.
movie
Yeah.
before the first movie even took flight.
Yeah.
They got their point across. You know what I'm saying? So if they get the point across, which was that, I assume it was that.
And then
Because
that's why
I answered my own question. Did they do the D&D aspect first or the race?
It's hard to say.
Well, see, the more I think about it, the more we discuss, I think they were aiming for the racism part first.
So in one sentence, then tell me what's the theme of the movie?
You're actually
the power of oppression.
The thesis.
Essentially, it's just the power of oppression.
The power of oppression.
And that's why.
and
And that's
brainwashing
why.
for that matter.
Do you think they just threw it in this time.
And it was easier, like I said, and it goes back to what I said. It was easier to make a fantasy race, like you said, with Zootopia. It's easier to do something fantasy that we as humans can't really relate to, and then see the message. The problem is people are trying to relate to it.
Right.
Like I said, it's the amoeba, it's the circle.
But
People
relation is what
it's
we
more
want in all
offensive.
our characters, isn't it? Relationships
but
are
that's
kind of
what
like
makes,
what we want.
and that's what the movie succeeds at, because it hits you where you live. It brings out your inner demons because of it. There should be no race attached to the orcs because they don't have an accent.
No.
They don't have a certain side of dialect. All we know is that
They have a
they
language.
just have
They have a language.
orcish,
though.
but it's orcish. That means nothing to us.
I don't know.
All they do is wear a jersey. If you were to, because then that's what comes down to perception. People are comparing orcs to black people because they have a minute view on it.
I think people compare
when
orcs to black people because the movie wants you to do that, man. I'm telling
He
you.
was dropping crazy
I'm
crazy
telling you.
lines.
There's-
I mean, it was
But
inescapable.
what were the crazy
Take
lines that
take
relates
take
directly
that
to
one
black
line that I said earlier where he said, "Have you seen an orc play basketball?"
Mad Hops, like really try to drop that line.
And then replace take orcs out of that movie and wizards and all that jazz and put black people there.
Would
But
it
then
really
that's
do
you,
that
but
much
that's
And
still
then
your
that
own
movie,
perception.
but no. The
All right,
movie is trying to make that
I'm
point.
gonna twist your own words on you.
The
then.
movie's trying to make that point.
Because I have one of my favorite comedians is Indian,
Okay.
and he said the same
Russell
thing. Have you?
Peters?
Yeah, Russell Peters. He
I
says,
know. I seen the poster
he
in your
said, why,
bathroom.
he said, "Why don't you see?" Yeah, he said, "Why don't you see any Indians play in the NFL?" That's just it's not racism. It's just business. But then that's the key to his joke. It's just how cultures are. So when you're using the how many orcs play basketball, that's more so the opposite because it's more of a cliche for black people to play basketball. So that's your own perception putting them in there. That's that's you putting that there.
That's them though, man. That's not
them.
It is. They are definitely trying to shove it down your throat.
They're shoving the racism down on how we as human beings place certain cultures in a certain aspect and we categorize them. But for you to specify that scene was about black people, when I easily made a comparison when it could be about Indians, shows that it's your own perception.
It's funny because I like that point that you just made. I believe this movie was made not for us to be like, well, that's blacks, this are humans. No, I believe it's just we're just trying to show what is going on.
Yeah.
Not necessarily put a certain race
That's
down
why
the
the
field.
orcs don't have an
Sure,
accent.
we can all feel like, oh wow, I'm not sure if they're trying to depict black people with the orcs, but I can relate to where the orcs been a couple of times. I've also can relate with the cops been in terms of hierarchy of command. I have been in those positions before. But it's not to have an argument back and forth that what orcs was and what orc wasn't. I think it's completely
I think
irrelevant.
if the movie would have cleared it up, it would have been better.
I mean,
It's
but like
more
I said,
on
because
the-
then that goes back to the reason the orcs are hate. They're hated because they chose a certain religion. Now you can relate them to Jewish people. You can relate them to Muslims because they chose what the Christians see as the wrong religion.
I mean,
but-
what the hell were fairies?
If that's
yeah,
what
fairies
it
out of
is.
nowhere.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what
That's
know?
like so
They're
when
the
you're
real
saying the
minority.
orcs are specifically this,
I think the movie's trying to convince you that, but
because that's the proper way to, like you said, that's the proper way to deliver oppression and racism, where it's like, okay, they have a history that everyone holds against them. That's irrelevant to the real world because there is no Dark Lord in our world to compare it to, but to specify
in religions
that
there
yeah,
are.
in religions, yeah, of course, they're like Satan, but I mean
That's the real world,
But then
though.
that's where the real world gets even more diverse, where they cannot squeeze into a movie because you have homosexuals and you have Satan worshipers who are still white supremacists.
But that's what
Yeah.
those are the details of the
Cognitive
movie.
dissonance. That's what it's called.
yeah,
The movie should have just dropped little twinkles, like little teardrops.
but they don't need to because it's all the audience.
But they
making
did.
these
But they made
comparisons.
Okay,
these
so-
other comparisons.
Okay, just to
Yeah.
get to the bottom, what you guys are trying to get to. So,
Yeah.
on your end,
Uh-huh.
right, to strengthen what you're saying, because this is how I'm seeing it. So you have a movie about two cops in L.A. Race riots, inescapable, right?
Yeah.
Right, like that's it, right? L.A. right has a very rich history, and you drop lines that anybody living in America could see what the coded language
Black
is.
Lives Matter. the
Black Lives
strike,
Matters, a
playing
hooded
hoops.
guy, graffiti on the wall,
Yeah.
and we're not supposed to think that that's referring to inner city black culture. We're not supposed to think that. They shouldn't have done that if they didn't want to target black people
That's
specifically.
right. They should have just created something else. What
They
are orcs
could have
look-
done anything else. You didn't have to mention football or
Yeah.
NFL. You have to mention any of those things.
They should have just
You
lived in a
couldn't help
bog.
that.
Where do orcs live in Warcraft?
The orcs they live in
Orgerville.
the
Orgerville.
horrible area. It's like the slums. Yeah, it's the worst.
Orgervale should have been a section
In the
of Los
swamp.
Angeles, but no, ogres live in the hood. Who lives in the hood? Let's just be racist for 1 second.
All the minorities.
Let's all just.
That's
there
where
you
I'm
go.
getting at.
In the hood.
That's the point I'm making.
that's
You're saying
exactly-
it's just
yep,
black people.
yep.
That's
I'm not saying
objectively
I'm
wrong.
not
Now,
saying it's
I-
black
now, I
people.
feel like- I
I'm
feel
not
like-
saying it's black.
But
I'm
that's
saying the
what I'm
movie's
saying.
trying to convince you it's black people.
No, it's not. That's the audience.
think
That's what I'm saying where the circle of perception is.
Uh-huh.
Because the same thing you're saying, the inner city, they went to L.A. The cliche L.A. is that they're Hispanic.
Yeah, majority.
Repeat that to me one more time.
Yeah.
The cliche in LA that the slums are Hispanic. If we're talking about LA and we're saying like, oh, we're looking at the ghettos because look at the orc who killed Jacoby. He came from Miami.
Yeah.
And if you look at and you listen to his voice, he sounds like a regular white dude. And then if you think about what Miami's known for Cubans.
Yeah.
So it's like
He sounds like a regular white dude when you actually sit down and listen to him.
And when you're looking at the jerseys, you know, like when we see the jerseys,
Very
like who does
hockey-like.
jersey? Because they don't even specify the type of sport it is. The sport could be hockey, baseball.
Well, it's designed like a hockey jersey.
But that's the point I'm
They're
getting. You
different
can't
design that
specify
way.
that the orcs are any specific race. It comes down to the viewer's perception.
Now, mind you, you can if you wish. 'Cause,
If you wish,
that's the
yeah,
whole
you
point.
can.
if
Interpretive.
you
But
want.
when it
My
comes
whole
to
thing-
when it comes to the slums
Yeah.
look, that's the look of the slums in anywhere in any culture in the world. That is a
But we're
common
talking
trope
about
of the
LA.
slum.
Specifically, we're talking about America.
And then LA is still predominantly Hispanic.
I really do think that he was trying to make a comparison, like the directors and the writers.
It was a subtle comparison to multi-race. Maybe 2 or 3 stronger than others, obviously.
Yeah.
But none of it was so direct where you can pinpoint that.
I just wish black people existed in this universe, and because Spanish people exist.
Yeah.
Like you see the Mexicans, and they're still
Yeah.
hood as hell.
Hopefully in the
And-
second and third
that's
part.
also, I
Yeah.
wish that's where I'm
Because
getting
the
with
black
you.
guys
Like
next
you
door.
said.
I wish. Well,
What-
we did see
yeah.
that. We had the neighbors.
We had the
gang-
neighbors.
He's like, take all your gang
But
shit out. So they were
did
still-
you see
they
how?
were the Friday-
You
they
see
were
how they were
Friday.
the friendliest gangsters ever, though?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
we're-
he was a cop. Come on, like, you're
Yeah,
not
true.
gonna.
but
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
You're
It's
gonna be
just
extremely.
it's
They were
just-
still. They were drinking out in front of the house with
know.
ghetto
Yeah.
music playing. They were still the cliche hood.
you see Training Day,
It
and
was
he goes
still
to the gangsters, and they're kind of scared of him because he's a cop. These guys are looking at this cop like, oh, he's
Because he's with
cop.
the orc. That's why
I
they're
don't
not gonna
know.
take him seriously.
I don't know.
Everybody knows he's with an orc.
Like I would say, like I said, if Will Smith relayed himself to more of a black guy as well and compared himself, like the sympathy is
would've
what they were
saved it.
missing. The
That
sympathy is
would've
what
saved
they
it.
were
Had
missing.
conversation
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
if
That would've been
if
nice.
Will Smith did sympathize the orc and compare the orc to being black, then that would nail that in the coffin, and then
And it
gets
would have been
even
an
more
arc.
offe-
It would have
then
been an
look
arc.
really
Well,
offensive.
I mean,
It would have created some
That- yeah, it would've
empathy,
created
like
some-
we
Yeah.
talked about.
It would have created a little bit of
Dang.
empathy. He should have empathized.
Relate to this guy.
He should have like some childhood.
But they
trauma
should have
or
had a
something like
triangle
that.
with it where like him
something.
where if Will Smith was going to compare black people to the orcs,
Yeah.
that would have been even worse than what the viewers are doing, unless they had a third anomaly, which was Rodriguez, who should have been the third anomaly, so that way they can all be in this.
He was there
together.
just to die.
And he's just there to die. But like that's
Yo,
what,
for real.
the
They
only
just
way that
really
would
shot
have been
him.
successful is if there was a triangle, a trinity on sympathy. Because we had a little bit of
Yeah.
sympathy for Tika's cute ass, but like she was just a victim.
Oh,
Yeah, she
Tika.
was just jumping around. It's like,
Tika
so
had
crazy
no.
ass down somewhere.
She was the flattest character
Multipass?
in that movie.
I thought she was adorable.
She was adorable as hell. She was the Lilu of that movie.
She was Lilu,
But
yeah.
Except she didn't have her Lilu moments. Like, what's war? What?
Oh no, she was smart as hell. She was just
she
playing
just-
dumb.
Yeah, she was. She's like, yeah, I speak
she-
English.
She
Oh,
she was
word?
just flat as hell.
I mean, we
She
haven't
didn't
seen
do
that
much.
before.
We've seen it. She was just someone to carry around.
Yeah.
Now there's a
Save.
line. There's a line in this movie where I saw it like before the show started, when they were getting shot, I believe it was, and they just got hit by like an invisible wall because they were going
The
too far the
wand, yeah.
radius, and they found themselves in the warehouse, and something they got found, and Will Smith said something about like, oh, they're gonna get you, and then they're gonna get me, and then they're gonna get her. So like, I'm not sure. I'm guessing he was referring to just the different races.
Yeah, literally, that's how it's in line.
humans,
Orc is at the bottom
and
barrel,
elves.
humans and elves are the
Right. And for a split moment, I was like, "Oh, it's because you're black." No, it's because your race. It's
Yeah.
just straight
Actual race, yeah.
Hopefully, in the second and third part, they'll go into more because that'd have been
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
more racism inside the actual human race itself.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, if Shrek's there, I mean, why not?
That's such a specific
You
reference.
know.
That kind of threw me off.
You
Like,
know?
oh,
Yeah.
so Shrek exists in this
I mean,
universe?
ogres would. I mean, but yeah, I mean, like I said, they mentioned the Alamo. There's like real life world things that happen now. What is interesting is what I would like to see is some KKK stuff.
Like,
Yeah.
so-
Now,
yeah.
We didn't see the
that had to be
extremists against orcs.
a different species.
Because
It's
we
white
know
supremacist type.
because we know
Something
there's
different
legit
species.
because
That'd
we
be awesome.
know that there's human against human oppression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know it is, but it's not as big as the orc oppression.
I think
because of
I think the
That-
KKK for
and we all
orcs.
came together and be like, kumbaya.
There has to
orcs
be
are the
a-
bad guys.
I don't even think it would be KKK for it would obviously it would be elves most likely.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
I wouldn't-
There has to
no.
be white trash elves.
But then
No,
yeah,
I wouldn't-
no, it
No,
is.
there
That-
is.
It's mentioned. It's
That-
mentioned because he said
there
he's like,
has to
wow,
be.
an orc with a badge. you know, that's unusual. He's like, yeah, like an elf with a broom.
Yeah. That
And
makes sense.
it's literally that. They're the elitists of the world. They're the Illuminati, if you will. Because it's like even
Oh,
with
we
the,
destroyed the Illuminati.
No, like
Remember that line?
like the guy
That's
from
right.
the Shield of Light. When they're interrogating the Shield of Light member, he says he's like, oh, it's a group of elves, and then he's cut off by suave dudes like renegade elves. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, like,
Yeah.
and then that relates to real life world where if it's a Middle Eastern guy who has a shooting,
Well, they call
oh,
out
the
his-
whole religion.
the whole
A
religion
black
gotta go
guy,
throw away.
a black guy has a problem. It's the whole race.
They got that
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I'll give
When
them that.
When it's
So
elves, he
right.
wants to be
They
like,
got that
listen,
right.
those are
No,
those
isolated.
elves.
That's an isolated incident, and then that's what I'm saying. It's a lot of like societal stabs out there. So like, it all comes down to the viewer's perception of who they're delivering it on. It all comes from your own world. That's what makes it interesting because it's a fantasy world of a universe squished together.
Yeah.
It's like three different universes just mushed together, and
They
it's like you
overlap
as a
and-
viewer, they're winning. It's like Miley Cyrus's negative publicity. There's no such thing as bad publicity because we're talking about it.
Oh yeah.
True.
So
No.
when you
Yeah.
perceive it, even if your perception is vast or small, they're getting.
And
you
I think
talking about
Netflix
it.
saw this as gold,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
regardless of how the ratings went. Or anything.
They saw-
They were like, "Yo, this is
I
money
mean,
right
Highly,
here."
the most
Well,
highest streamed.
Yes,
movie.
and the ratings
Yeah.
are amazing.
That's what I'm
Screw the
saying.
reviews. The ratings are
It's
amazing.
it's the
The views are
political
crazy.
climate right now. It's the political.
It was a perfect
climate.
time to drop that movie
Yeah.
too. Honestly,
Hence why I say this wasn't a coincidence. So I assume it was definitely
It was
based
definitely,
on
yeah,
race
race,
and
yeah.
on the situation that's going on now, except the whole D&D thing. It was just something.
yeah, it was
Put it on,
the
yeah.
race and the oppression of those in power.
Yeah, all that
All
real
that
life
one circle,
stuff.
yeah.
Going on.
And then
All they need to do
Game
is
of
just-
Thrones being good right
Listen-
now. They were like, "Yo,
The only thing they were missing was like an actual like country leader being oppressive.
Hey,
yeah."
now that
Yeah.
this was the test.
There was no good
Yeah.
orcs other than the cop. There had to have been that MKL or MLK.
That's what I
orc.
didn't like that they didn't have many.
There
good,
wasn't there wasn't that many good orcs. There wasn't any except for Jacoby.
There weren't, yeah.
any.
They made him like this exceptional.
Well,
one.
the only one who was
That was
good
kind of
went
annoying.
bad because of the police.
It
And we
just-
only heard, like you said, it was instead
a
of show,
neutral-
instead of show, it was all tell.
Yeah.
The guy from Miami, he was good.
That would have been a good scene.
He was a legitimate good guy, and he just got angry because the police messed up everything from him. If they showed him actually uniting people like he said he did, then we would understand that the orcs are not as bad. Because then it's like, hopefully we see this in the second movie, but
Yeah.
now it seems kind of
Late.
because it's like, okay, they're gonna rise up being good now because we saw Jacoby get blooded. We saw Jacoby is now recognized as a hero, so they're only gonna be riding off the back of Jacoby instead of riding off their own.
Man, how did somebody not make this into a novel before it became a movie?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm glad that
This is a
I'm
missed
glad-
opportunity for-
I am
for
glad that
writers.
they not
Yeah.
do that because everything is some sort of
Yeah.
pre-sourced material.
This is something that
That's
they,
what I'm
Right.
saying. Like, how did that not happen?
Never-
How did
well,
that
true,
slip
yeah.
through? How did
True.
How did
I'm
somebody
sure-
in Hollywood think of that before?
I'm sure there's some
Yeah,
sort of
true.
novel
Yeah.
out there covering something
For
like
real.
this.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
Second movie, this was just a test.
Yeah.
You know, they were scared, obviously, throwing this out.
I don't think so. I think they knew this was gold.
Listen,
I
well,
they
I mean,
knew it.
I don't
They-
know. Sure, there's an inkling, but I feel like it was a test because
Race wars equals money, bro.
Dude, this
I
was all over
suppose.
YouTube.
What was that
I-
episode
guess.
of South Park? Race wars when Cartman was running around.
But the reason why I think it was they were scared is because of the whole D&D aspect of it. Sure, race
Yeah.
will wins money,
okay.
but throw something that
Yeah, maybe-
fantasy.
Oh yeah. But then
that's
look at the advertisement. You never saw.
I mean,
you
Will
saw, like,
Smith
one,
was in front of everything.
Yeah, but
that's
the
one
thing
of
about
Will
the-
Smith can make anything gold,
the
though.
ads on
except
YouTube-
for his son's movies.
the ads on YouTube were saying.
Tell
Yeah.
about it.
My bad. Keep
Speaking
going.
of Jaden Smith, I saw this post called hashtag Black Harry Potter, and they were making like all the like a
So
bunch of random
good.
celebrities as like characters. Like Rihanna was
Jaden would actually be good in that.
I think Rihanna was Tonks.
Oh my
Donald
God.
Glover was Harry
my
Potter.
life is ruined.
Oh, Ray, that was
That's
dope.
awesome.
That would be
Yeah.
dope. I watched the hell out of that.
I think was it Angela Bassett that was Professor McGonagall?
Yes.
She's good in
Oh.
anything.
Yeah.
Morgan
That's it.
Freeman was Dumbledore, obviously.
Oh, of course.
Yes, my life is complete.
Yeah.
Idris Elba was Sirius Black.
Yes.
Wow.
Here's the kicker.
Who's
Here's the
Snape?
kicker.
I want to see. I want to hear Snape. Who's
I
Snape?
forgot who Snape was. It's an I think
Samuel's
it's,
in there somewhere on that
Hold
list.
on. I think Snape. No, that was who was Snape? Shit.
It wasn't
I'm-
Samuel.
Who's Denzel Washington?
I think Denzel
Okay.
Washington might have been Snape. I can't
Oh,
remember
no
who was
way.
Snape though.
As
Snape
a
was
villain?
actually
That's
You
so
can-
weird.
an anti-hero.
okay.
Because that's who Snape is. He's an
Good, I
anti-hero.
don't know Harry Potter
But
lore.
but
Shame on me.
Draco Malfoy,
Was of
who's-
course.
Pretty boy Draco Malfoy
Who's
was
this?
Jaden Smith.
I was crying.
Yes.
Crying at that.
I saw that. I liked every single one. I was
They're
like,
all
this is
good.
This
They're
is all good
all
now.
good.
Oh, the gold is there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
You love to hate them, so that's perfect.
But yeah, the second movie,
Yeah.
maybe more stuff is gonna happen.
yeah, I
Maybe
didn't
more,
I
you
didn't
know.
think like
Who knows? Maybe a series might come out of this.
that's why they advertise
I
it
hope
to
so.
me
A
like a
Netflix
Bad
original
Boys
series,
Ooh,
yeah.
I would like a series
That'll
because
be
that'll
awesome.
help. That'll help out. This will get so many views.
Yeah.
This would have been a better show.
It will be it'll be a better show than a movie. Absolutely a
Yeah.
better show than a movie.
Netflix
Yep.
is better at their shows.
Shows and
anyway.
movies anyway.
That's
yeah.
how I felt about. Oh, I don't want to get into that.
They spent
but
$90
Death
million.
Note.
Now,
on
mind
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
mind you,
Death Note
this
maybe
movie
would've been
only,
better, yeah.
this movie, the cons of this movie is just based on perception.
Yeah.
that's all.
And
I mean, it
it's
was a good movie.
conversation starter. So.
Yeah.
All critiques are based on perception. I mean,
I mean,
Yeah.
there's just bad movies overall.
Yeah,
That's
like-
just not perceived at all.
yeah,
I mean,
sometimes
don't
something's
get me
bad
wrong.
is bad.
Right. You know, car insurance, that was bad. Come on. Like, come on, peeps. Like, you know,
Car
hot
insurance was not
topic.
bad.
It's
Get
bad.
better dialogue. Get more lore in there.
Yeah.
Less talking, more showing.
Yeah.
And then we're good. I mean,
It's fertile ground.
Because
man. It's such a
I
cool
feel like the
concept.
show like this would have been a better series only because there was so much baggage on these characters
Everything's
that we had
black
to
and
be told.
white.
Like Will Smith had true drama. We just have to assume.
We don't know how he got this
Jacoby
way.
comes from a really shitty family. We just have to assume.
yeah.
You know, we had the cop who he has a bad life. He's like always marrying new women. He's a deadbeat. He's a cop, but he hates orcs and everyone agrees with him, even the fact that he's a shitty human being. You know, he's a shitty person overall, but like hates orcs, so people rally with him. You know, there's so much baggage on the characters that
You're
we see
like,
that it's like,
what?
damn, I have to absorb all this at once in the first hour because now we got to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Because once they get Tika, it's a huge shift.
It was a good.
Wands
It was a good
and-
chase scene movie.
I do like the chase movie.
I
'cause
like the warrior style. Let's run from this
Inferni.
hood into that hood,
Oh,
into
yeah.
this hood, into that hood. That
I
was
mean,
dope.
can we shout out Inferni, like Layla's team,
Yeah.
Layla's two backup elves, like they were
Yo.
clean.
I really
Layla-
thought-
Layla herself is
I
just-
Layla's
thought that
stupid,
was what's her name? Ric Flair's daughter. I really thought that was
Oh,
Ric
that was
Flair's
not
daughter.
Charlotte, no.
Was
I thought it
Charlotte?
was.
She looked.
Somebody
I
had
could see
told me
it.
that Charlotte was doing a movie, and I thought, whoa,
No,
this
no.
it?
No, she's not
that's
top heavy enough for Charlotte.
Oh,
And you
That
know,
was
Charlotte's
a
all
slim.
legs. She's like Charlotte's like legit like neck and legs. That's
yo,
all, that's all
but
Charlotte
yo,
is.
but this chick was kicking ass.
They
in that
were all
movie.
kicking ass.
Yeah,
definitely.
Oh,
They were
man,
doing a really good job. They should have been fleshed out more too, man.
Seriously, these
Yeah.
are sad.
Like,
why do they follow
need to
the
go into
Dark
the cult.
Lord?
Yeah, like because
What
elves
is-
of all people.
Why
following
be
the-
evil if your culture is already
Running
on
the world,
top
yeah.
of the food chain?
What more do you want
And
from
then,
me?
and then and
What am
Layla
I fighting
yeah,
for?
and Layla herself has a wand. What do you need to serve the Dark
Word.
Lord for?
What?
Like,
What do you need this for? Why defect? You guys are on top of the food chain. Like, flesh this out, man.
seriously.
Flesh this out.
And I really want a sequel. They flesh the elves out more because I want to see.
Yeah.
Am I fighting
I want to see Prince
for?
Kel'Thas fleshed out more. Like
Yeah,
you
for
told me,
real.
like he's too
Mm-hmm.
clean. He dresses like me. He wears steampunk outfits.
I disagree with you guys. He's a horrible actor. I heard
Ooh.
his talking parts were
Why
bad.
do you think he had like a few scenes? He
His
wasn't-
talking
kinda
parts
stiff.
were bad. He's like
He has to be stiff.
visually amazing, but no, his talking parts
But
were
why do you think
bad.
he said like 3 lines every scene he was in?
Because he was bad at it, man. I'm telling you.
you didn't need. He just had to look cool.
But that's not cool,
Let's just
bro.
put it this way. I would rather him
What
be.
movie were we talking about last time?
First
where he
of
looked, Henry Cavill looks
Oh.
cool.
Okay.
That doesn't carry that movie at all.
Okay, then next time.
But
Henry,
look at-
the
no,
human chin,
Hey,
the
hey,
human
you want-
chin.
all
Look
right,
at
I got
Keanu
some-
Reeves, for God's sake.
First of all,
Keanu Reeves
all right,
looks
let's
like a
get
homeless
let's
man.
get you a magic wand so you can change time and you can switch him with the actor who played Rhaegar Targaryen.
No, put Henry Cavill in there, man. Make the human chin the elf with the FBI elf.
I mean, he'll look
He
pretty
needs
good as
roles, man. He needs roles.
Or they could have just got Shia LaBeouf to be the Fed elf.
Please.
Oh, you want them to be hated. You want elves to be like take him into the real world.
On
like,
the
no, we
contrary,
hate
I think they
elves.
love
Honestly,
elves
I
a
think-
lot more.
First of all, Shia LaBeouf and Will Smith in the same movie is bank.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
happened
a
before.
bank.
It's happened
Exactly.
before.
iRobot.
iRobot.
Bank.
Yeah, they need to
No,
bring
I
that
have
back.
not seen that movie yet.
What? That
It's
movie's
actually
good.
So I
entertaining.
didn't know if
It-
Shia
It's got
LaBeouf-
bad reviews, but it's
It's a
entertaining.
popcorn. Like you just
It's popcorn. It's
you watch
entertaining.
it.
Yeah, it's one of those like you just watch it. To
Yeah, you just watch
Don't
it.
You know who I would
don't-
cast as that detective elf who's like clean, who's like the Hispanic one? I would have casted my man who played Scarecrow in the first Batman Begins movie.
Oh wow.
I would cast
With
him.
the beautiful ass
That
cheekbones.
dude was just
Cillian
naturally
Murphy.
pretty.
Scarecrow.
Yo, Cillian Murphy.
No,
Yeah, not-
Cillian Murphy.
It's Killian.
He's
It's
cheekbones
Cillian
all
Murphy?
the way
Yeah.
through.
All right.
Cheekbones
Yeah.
all the way
I
through.
love how
He's
we're all
amazing.
gushing over this one elf though.
He's amazing. I'm
Like,
sorry. He's a snack. He looked like a snack.
He
the
was
entire
delicious.
What does that actor look like in real life?
He don't need to look like anything in real life.
What
just be
does he
that
look
Just
forever.
dressed like this forever.
Just be that forever.
But it's
Man, I
the
was trying to
makeup.
Wig was snatched.
It's the makeup of the
Makeup
elf.
and,
That's
yeah,
what
Eye
makes him in the
contact
eye-
snatched. I was here.
Where they pull him out of, man? He looked like he was like in a model or something.
He reminds
before
you
it.
of the guy from Flash.
I just wish he had a British accent. That's the only thing he was missing.
I wish all the elves did. I was like,
I
this
wish
is
they had an
kind of weird
accent.
with the elves
well,
not having British accents.
Layla and Tika had accents.
They weren't British.
They
So
were
we're so
no,
used
they
to
were European.
Warcraft.
They were European of some
Let me
kind,
know,
but
Tia, because I know you're looking him up.
Yes, I am.
We were so used to Warcraft and all the
He is
fantasy characters.
Venezuelan.
Yeah,
I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, no, he's. Oh, I knew he was.
Hey,
He was Venezuelan.
Yeah. Edgar. Yo, this guy's got a beard now. What's good?
yeah, legit. They did. Good thing they didn't photo Snapchat.
Let me see.
filter his
Turn the
face.
phone to me for a second. I want to see this beard.
Yo.
I want to see this beard.
He got Snapchat.
They got
filter
some
and
handsome men over there. Oh yeah, he's a handsome fella.
Hold up, hold up. Let me get a close up.
I think we have our new Superman.
yeah, seriously, right?
We already know he doesn't need a lot of
That's him?
lines.
Yeah, that's him, yo.
Seriously.
They don't give Superman lines in movies.
They don't. They really.
So there you.
And I will say,
post Flashpoint Superman. I'm calling it now.
Post Flashpoint. Wow.
Yes, calling it now.
That's one.
I'm
hell of
calling
he's
it
got
now.
a very heroic chin. I'll give him that.
Look at
The
that.
guy has a very
Look
heroic.
at that. Look at that chin. Look at the jawline.
I
Like,
can see it.
This guy's
it's
the
very
sharpest-
wide.
I can see it.
It's very wide.
He needs to keep the beard though.
Superman can have a beard. He can
Yeah,
be.
look at that forehead though. I just noticed that. You see that?
That's a Superman.
That's a
forehead.
Superman
For real,
forehead.
it's a super forehead.
That's a super head.
That's
Super
a Superman
forehead.
That's a super head. That's a super head right there. He can pull
Shout
off
out
Superman.
his name again for viewers so they can
Yeah,
look him up
yo.
and see what we're seeing.
Edgar Ramirez.
Edgar Ramirez.
That's the name of an actor that can play Superman.
Indeed.
That's the name of the
Hispanic
actor.
Superman at that.
All right.
Yo, that would
Post
be lit.
Flashpoint Superman, calling it now.
I'm okay
And
with
then
You
that.
know they're replacing everybody after Flashpoint except for Gal Gadot. And
Oh, she's not going anywhere.
She's gonna act like she knows
Ain't going
everybody
anywhere.
already. Batman, which has not Ben Affleck. I've
Not
known you my whole
anymore.
life. Where you been?
Pretty
Where
much.
you been?
This guy's 40 years old, man. This guy's 40 years
Is that
old.
elf makeup? I'm
Yo,
telling you.
it's the Game of Thrones syndrome. We only hire actors that's over 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, 38 you said?
He's 40.
40.
40.
Well, you know,
I thought he was at least maybe
South
31.
Americans have the fountain of youth down there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
El
The Fountain of Youth
Dorado.
is down there. No, absolutely.
El Dorado, it's a real thing.
Yeah,
Tia's
legit.
laughing. It's a real thing.
I mean, his forehead is proof.
Why do you think they make their pilgrimage like in their 20s down there? All the South Americans.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta send money to my country. No, you're gonna go take a dip in the lake.
You know, take a dip in lake.
Is that
Ask
Lazarus
years on your
pit?
life.
Facts.
Lazarus Pit. Yeah.
Lazarus
What's
pit
going on?
down there, definitely.
All
man.
those Raja ghouls everywhere.
Raja
man.
ghouls.
But can we come up with plot lines or plot for the sequel then?
Oh, all right.
You guys want to have fun doing that?
Ooh, what did I think? Because I actually did.
You have to
a
go
thought,
last
too.
though, man.
Okay.
You're gonna have the most craziest one,
Because
obviously.
I live this life of Lord of the
Okay,
Rings and Dungeons and Dragons.
let's
so-
repeat the safe like we had it last time
Alright.
from the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead,
Go ahead,
Puff.
Tia.
Oof. So we know that Will Smith is a bright.
Yeah.
Go figure.
That's a thing.
Now they have medals, but the police are still relatively corrupt, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that can't be just those four. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's just like
Those four
those
cops.
four got pop, 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 pop. And of course, Jacoby tells them everything. No one needs
He's
to
a
know.
doofus, yeah.
He's so
Yeah.
dumb. Honestly, spend this next time just fleshing out these characters. And honestly, for a plot line, I don't know what he's gonna use his magic for because he knows he can use the wand now. But I guess it's, will there be clash between him and the elves now because they still have it. The elves still want it, so I guess they're coming back. But now old girl's dead, so who they got left now? So they left things open, but I guess it's gonna be elf versus human now. Now that he has a power, now he's got he's got collateral
You,
now.
the old lady.
I got it.
You got the juice now. Oh, go to hell.
Oh.
You got the
So
juice.
we don't know if any other human bright existed. So
Well, they
said, like,
exist.
one?
That's what the elf says. It's like there's like 1 in a million.
Oh.
They happen, but they're so
That's a
far
horrible
few.
thing to say again. 1 in a million.
1 in a million.
I hate Chosen One movies.
He is the
Chosen
chosen
One
one.
movies
Yeah.
are bad, but
Yeah, so
continue.
I don't know. Like I want him to just change a leaf. You know what I mean?
I
Be a
would've-
different kind of cop now. You know what I mean? I can't handle another movie assault. That's it. If he's not, you just lower down the sodium.
He's gonna
Bring
be
it
so.
down.
Down
That's
the
literally
sodium.
what the character is. Because even at
Yeah.
the end, he said, "I hate that they put those bears up there with Rodriguez." And even Jacoby's like, "Just let it go. We know the truth." Like
Yeah.
Jacoby still showed. That's the contrast now. We have
True.
the negative with the positive. But what's gonna happen in the sequel?
We had a Dark Knight.
I
on
want
there.
him to use his magic power to actually change the system. At least, like use this power that you have for something good. You
But he
know
doesn't
you're-
have the wand.
I guess who has the wand?
The feds have it.
Yeah.
The pretty elf.
The
Yeah.
pretty
The
elf.
Venezuelan
Well, get
elf
it
has
back. I don't know. Like he's the only one who can touch
We're gonna
it.
call him Post-Crisis Superman from this point going forward.
Post-crisis
Please.
I'm
Superman.
gonna keep calling him Prince Kelthus because
Yeah,
that's exactly what he looks like.
That is a handsome name too. All
He
right.
looks like you play Hero. Remember Heroes? He looks like KT.
Okay.
Hell yeah. absolutely. I agree.
Okay, so I just want the movie to just explain why I want to see the Dark Lord. I want him to come back anyway. Like they managed to get him back, and I want that to be a ridiculous battle between
sorry.
Dark Lord.
I'm sorry.
And magical Will Smith.
I'm sorry.
That's what I'm looking
Magical
for.
Will Smith. This is how the second movie's gonna end, though. The Dark
Oh,
Lord.
you
He's
can't
gonna be
do that. It's
Shut
not
up.
your turn. It's
But
his
this is
turn,
the ending. I'm
man.
gonna tell my movies about just
Oh,
how the
God.
ending is because
Okay,
it's gonna
go.
leave us on a cliffhanger.
You don't
The
care?
Dark Lord's gonna be manifesting like outside the city, and like you're gonna see like the city's deteriorating. It's gonna be mad CGI.
What is this,
looking
the
shut up!
upside down?
Shut up!
No,
Shut
man.
up! And we see his face is like
Oh, here we
meshing.
go.
His face is meshing through the clouds, and Will Smith walks up to him and is like, "I've come to bargain with you," and it just ends like that.
That's not an ending. That's a cliffhanger.
Come to
I
bargain.
told you it's gonna be an yeah. It's like I've come to bargain.
So it's Doctor Strange. That's what
the
the
Dark
second-
Lord's Dormammu.
Doctor Strange. Little did we know was already a sequel to Bright.
a prequel. To
It was already a prequel and a sequel. It's
Prequel, sequel.
It's a multi-dimensional thing, multiverse thing.
So go ahead, tell you what's part 2 gonna be about. Just no bargains.
Yeah, definitely no bargains. We're definitely gonna see more fairies. Obviously, we're gonna see. I believe more. It's more species that are gonna come into play.
Please.
You know, they're gonna trickle down less on the elves. They're gonna trickle down less on the orcs. They're gonna show more fairies, of course, more species around. Because this is a fantasy world anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, this was gonna happen. Will Smith is gonna reject his calling.
Yeah, of course.
100%.
He's done it. Yeah,
That's
he's done it
gonna
already.
happen,
Yeah.
But now he knows. Now he's gonna do it like straight. Like no way. He's still gonna hate. Was his name Jacoby? The orc,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He's not gonna. I just think like the next movie's gonna be another dose of cynicism. Straight. But this time him trying to get over the fact that he is someone special when he doesn't want to be anybody special. First movie, he's caught in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He gets
This
blasted.
one, he has no choice but to do what he has to do because he's a chosen one. You know, and also his boy
Neo.
is also technically a chosen one, true, because of the prophecy. He was also
Because
resurrected.
he said it. The guy,
Right.
the shield of light guy,
Yep.
the Jew guy with the sword. He said, "Oh, you're part of. Remember your culture. Remember."
But
your
he's gonna
heritage.
accept
that guy.
his-
You're with him. He's blessed. So
Right.
you're good. Yeah.
The orc is going to accept his calling. His boy isn't going to accept his calling at all. Again, the differences, we're gonna. I think we're gonna see. Hopefully we can see more. I guess
Tika?
more prejudicism or racism
I just
amongst
want
the
to see more
humans.
Lilu.
She's
so cute.
Isn't she dead?
No, she survived. She was walking by in the hoodie.
Oh,
walking in the
okay,
crowd.
I
Yeah,
forgot
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
she
I
didn't
forgot-
die.
oh, what would happen
Can't
to
kill
her?
Lilu. Can't kill Lilu.
Nah, she's good.
And yeah, I mean that's. I feel like as more movies go by, they're gonna lose the slice of life, relatable
course.
stuff.
It's gonna get more fantasy.
and it's gonna be more fantasy. It's gonna be more of a.
That's exactly where I was
Transformers
gonna
thing.
go with
More
this.
of a Too Fast, Too Furious type of thing. You
Oh
know?
God, not that bad.
That's
Well,
what
hopefully not that far to the
no,
extreme.
No.
I say that because
Running to the ground.
Well, no,
Yeah.
when I say that, no, not
They're
as
doing good.
as like the sequels. I'm talking about like
Yeah.
first movie was straight cars. Second
Yeah.
movie was cars. Third, fourth, it just died.
It's gonna be more fantasy.
That's how I see this happening. You
Yeah.
know, because the first one is gonna hit the mark what you did. So that's the way I see it. It's simple sequel, and that's all they need. Because I mean, the first one already wrote the second part.
Wow.
The first part is already written. The second part. All now you just have to put in the
world
gaps.
build. I think you have to world build.
Yeah, well, I mean, but the first part we established that world in a nutshell. Like
You don't have to do a large scale world build, but
I'm
little
sorry.
twinkles.
Yeah.
It's
little twinkles.
fantasy.
Yeah.
There's just you don't have to think out of the box with this.
True.
You know,
already
it's
I think the
established
fantasy
simple.
part's good though. That's
Yeah.
what we were saying. The human part is what needs more.
I mean, but see,
Problematic.
that part is just that's gonna be fun.
That's gonna get back. Yeah, that's just for goofy background.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
That's just
right.
fluff.
So I mean, all we want is we want the more on the whole backstory shit, but they need to build the world, which
Did
is
they?
of course. I'm sorry.
Did they really build a world?
they did.
No,
it.
they haven't built the
Oh,
world, yet, but
okay.
I'm saying but if they're gonna do that in the second and third part, it's
Yeah.
gonna be easy because
Yeah.
the first part already set
They're
it up
working
for them
backwards, kind of.
already. Oh, well,
I don't know. We saw
Yeah.
Justice League do it.
And look how that turned out.
well, okay, all right. Nice.
Okay, so my whole idea, like, we covered an hour's worth of what's wrong with the first movie. Okay, fix that. Boom, let's move forward, right? Okay, so the plot goes with we already know the Dark Lord's on his way back, right? But what I'm thinking is that would be too much of a cliche, like, oh, the Dark Lord, blah blah blah. No, we get these. Since we already know that this is more like a religious war that happened back then instead of a culture war, we get the false prophets. We get those Jim Jones type, those doomsayers, those guys that unite people, cult leader type people that are false prophets that say they're the Dark Lord, but it's not. And there's one particular one who succeeds, who's kind of like, I'm gonna group up all the oppressed, because this is clearly a world where the oppressed are the weak, and they need someone to lead them forward, like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. They need somebody like that. So this is the guy that comes out and says, I'm the Dark Lord. I'm going to lead you out to suppression. These people have contorted history. They've written history in their favor, and the Dark Lord was not trying to control the world. He was trying to free the oppressed. No one's alive. No one is alive today that was there for the events back then. So you can definitely get away with saying that these guys
Fudging
contorted it.
yeah.
And it'll have its real world relation, just like the police and everything else have their real world relation with us now. This is going to have its real world relation with the Bible and religious fanatics are going through now, with everybody saying, hey, the Bible's rewritten. Not everything is like how they said it was. It's been rewritten multiple times. That's what they're going to say about history in the second movie. The Dark Lord is not the Dark Lord, but he's going to
He's not
use...
the devil. He's Jesus Christ, essentially.
Exactly. That's in layman's terms, pretty much. Yep. And then, boom, plot twist. Krah, comes out of nowhere. You find out...
And the fact that he's ogre, too? Oh,
he's not only an ogre.
Oh, ogre, orc, Shrek, whatever. Same
He's
difference.
not even an orc. He's not even just an orc.
That's going to hit people a lot.
He's not just an orc.
Half elf.
No. He's not just an orc. He's Samuel L. Jackson. Movie sold, God, print...
I'm sorry.
To the presses. This
they can
movie's
make
gonna
Samuel
bucks.
Jackson the only black elf, and I'm gonna see it.
Exactly.
Yo.
So boom. So
Lit.
boom. Lit. This is it. This guy's gonna lead everybody from justice. But then you find out at the end. This is the plot twist that I got cut off by Josh for. The plot twist is that Will Smith is the Dark Lord. But
Huh?
Literally?
All right. Now you're doing
Literally.
some
Yes.
supernatural.
no,
Literally?
no.
He's the vessel
Will
the whole
Smith-
time.
Literally,
Will
bro.
Smith is the Dark Lord. You already made him the chosen one. You already ruined the first movie by making him the chosen one.
So we going supernatural.
He's 1 in a million.
Yo, for real.
1 in a million is the human is the Dark Lord, and he has to like sort of say, no, I'm not gonna be the Dark Lord. All right, maybe the Will Smith part is too much, but definitely
No. I think you got something good
You got
going on.
something going there.
Continue,
Something's
bro.
good.
Because
Something's
we talking
good.
about the 4th movie right now. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
word.
Yo, for real.
Yeah, we're on a stretch. No, okay, well maybe, but yes, the second one. Yes, for what I was saying in the beginning, I think the second movie should be about a cult leader that's leading the oppressed.
That's where I was.
That's
all right.
that's good there.
I'm
Good
gonna
arc.
piggyback.
That's
I'm gonna
good
piggyback
there.
off of how you
That's
started
great.
before you Fast and Furious the hell out of it.
No, Will Smith's the Dark Lord.
Yeah, Fast
I
and
said
Furious.
it, and it just happened before the
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
came out.
seriously.
Go figure.
Yeah.
But all right. So part 2 would be pretty much the feds having inner turmoil, thus branching off into the actual elf society, seeing a little more what the elves are really doing with all their money. So where we see, because like, how could elves convert to being extremists? We'll see how they convert to extremists through the Venezuelan elf. Like, we'll see the story a
Post-crisis
little
Superman.
bit from his point, because he knows exactly who Tika is, and him now having the wand around him, it still can draw him to Tika. Because now with Layla dead, the wand's new ownership should pass to Tika. If not, if it doesn't go to Will Smith character, it has to go to Tika, because the wand does claim a master.
Question: all elves can use magic?
No,
They have to be brights
some
also.
some of them have to be
Okay.
brights. Yeah, because that's what the
They're,
shield.
they're just
yeah.
more susceptible.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's more common.
All right,
to
go
it, yeah.
forward then.
So now there's the Fed elf where he wants to be a bright, but he's afraid to test it. Like the shield of light guy told him, "Oh, don't you want to embrace your destiny and try it out?" And what's the worst that can happen? At least you'll know the truth about yourself. So he'll be tempted, but he wouldn't know where to begin. So he'll seek out Tika, and where Tika, because she is Layla's younger sister, she's now getting whispers from the Dark Lord and cultists who are seeking her out. So she now has the feds pursuing her for reasons she's unaware of, and cultists trying to make her the new lover of the Dark Lord like Layla was. She now seeks out
You're
Jacoby.
gonna make it a love triangle movie.
No, not necessarily love triangle. Well, wait, because I mentioned that the lover for the Dark, that's what Layla called herself. She's anything the Dark Lord wants her to be. He needs a new, it goes like Warcraft. He needs somebody to sacrifice themselves to bring him in. That, a true like mind slave who's willing to dedicate them. That's he's going to try and attain Tika, because she was a servant until she started seeing the dark stuff that, she got converted by the Shield of Light. So she'll pull Jacoby and Will back into the mix where they don't want to be part of the mix. And this is how he, living his secret life as a bright, he's now exposed to the public as a bright because he's now entangled with the magic feds and Tika all over again. And this is what make him be a little more humble and try and be not want to be a hero, but he's going to step up and take some dude not wanting to, like I say, he's always going to deny it, but he's going to look at it like, oh, I'm not just going to go home and pay bills. I'll help Tika out, or I'm going to protect my city because I grew up here. I'm at least defend this city from what Dark Lord threat there is. I'm not trying to save the world, but I'm going to protect my neighborhood.
Like another Hancock to me.
Yeah, and then you'll have Jacoby for the first time get his hands dirty. He's no longer the innocent rookie.
Well, he shot somebody in the first movie. Like one person.
He killed the evil elf lady. He didn't even kill her. He shot her in the hand. We still didn't really see.
So
He didn't kill her?
You know what I
No, he
noticed
didn't
is
kill
that there's Venezuelan, the elf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Post crisis
Post Crisis Superman.
Okay.
Post Flashpoint. My bad.
Post Flashpoint, that thing, and we have yet to even say that he might be not what he says he is.
That's a good place to go.
He's
to.
suspicious as
He
hell.
might
That's a good
be
place to go.
some
Pretty
sort
sus.
of main antagonist. For us.
Yeah.
I mean, this might be a stretch.
That's why I
but
said it'll
he
be.
might be
yeah.
a Dark Lord.
That's what I'm
Who
saying.
knows?
That's why with him
Or
he'll
some sort
get
of
tempted.
incarnate,
That's what I'm
right?
saying.
Or
He would
some-
get tempted by the
he
wand.
wants. He's an elf. He wants the wand.
Ooh.
Hence the
Well,
scene.
like
that
back
has
cover
in the-
being a fan.
Oh,
Remember,
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
the last.
We don't know how powerful
the
Dark
scene
Lord
with the shield.
is.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
the
We
shield
don't
of
know.
light guy. The guy
Yeah.
with the shield of light. He's legitimate a good guy, and he even says he's like, you know what? He said he basically, in a nutshell, he said, you guys are gonna screw up. The Dark Lord's gonna show up, and we'll save everybody. So don't worry. Do what you want to do. Treat me as a criminal, but at the end, we'll save you. So I'm done talking to you. And then that's when the elf's like, oh, if you treat me like the enemy, you become my enemy.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was almost foreshadowing where he's gonna go to war with the shield of light by actually converting. Because he's gonna get tempted by the wand, and he's gonna get dark whispers from the dark.
He's
Lord.
Oh,
gonna-
you mean the Venezuelan
elf, yeah.
See, I think that the Venezuelan elf is evil from the get go. He just had
A great cover.
interior motive. Exactly.
He just had a badge.
I feel like he's the incarnation of this Darkland. His only missing piece
Because he knew
is the
exactly who
wand.
Layla is and Tika was.
I mean, it's a
And the funny
stretch.
thing- here's the
again,
funny
but this
thing,
is a
'cause
D&D type of movie.
I gotta
as well.
watch it again, but I gotta
So-
remember he wasn't looking for Layla. He was looking for Tika.
Right.
But
I think he was looking for
that's
Tika.
great place to go. But that would have required some foreshadowing in the first movie.
Whoa,
more
like they did, like,
more than what you
because-
just said.
Okay, true.
More than what you just said. But
wishful thinking.
let's put a parentheses up real quick because I'm gonna say something stupid again. did any of you guys think that his partner was the dude from Stranger Things?
I
Who?
don't watch Stranger Things. So I don't
David
know.
Hopkins?
Harbour?
The guy that's gonna be Hellboy.
Oh, Hopper, no.
You guys didn't get. I was like, whoa, look. Oh no, that's not him. All right,
That's his other British,
all right.
British
The
actor.
parentheses is closed. Continue.
Okay. But yeah, because like
Go
it, and
ahead, go
it kind
ahead.
of goes back to say like he might have been sinister the whole time because his partner was so energetic.
Yeah, he seemed like
You know,
a bad guy.
even though like cop was would be the good cop role, but he was kind of an asshole the whole way through. He was making the racist
How have you
jokes.
not watched
He was-
Stranger Things? I'm sorry.
I
continue.
it's on my bucket list. It's on my to watch list. Just
Gotta
haven't sat
fight
down
with
to do
you
it.
later.
And then, like he was bashing the guy's head in and all that.
Yeah.
But
Bob Tastic, what up, my villain?
oh
My
God.
hustler villain.
Bob-
Hurrah.
Here goes Bob.
Bless my
Talk to me like a villain, Bob. All
So-
right, go ahead.
It's like because of the contrast with his partner, who seemed to be so.
Bob lost.
I don't know.
You
The best way to say
destroyed
he
your train of
seems
thought.
so human. I mean,
Yeah.
considering the movie, I hate to say human, but he seems so human. Like he had emotion, he had
Yeah.
energy, he had
Elves,
expression.
he was cold. He was
The
straight
elf
logical.
was literally just
Yeah,
a block.
yeah.
He was
He
Dr.
was
Manhattanitis.
just a block.
He had
And
Dr.
that's how they were all,
Manhattanitis.
except for Tika.
Well, no, all right. The minions we're not gonna bother with, but we saw how Layla behaved. We saw how the assassin
Yeah,
behaved.
yeah.
I mean, the assassin, she was like origamied into the wall, but like they still
Oh,
had
that, yeah,
characteristics to them, even for their short lines. He stayed still despite the many scenes he showed up in. He was very Keanu Reeves.
Again, he's very suspicious, and that's
Yeah,
why
he's
he
very
he has to be
calm.
some sort of an antagonist. I don't think he's a good guy. I think he's doing his own stuff for his own motives. I honestly think
and hence why,
who
like you
knows?
said, for his own motives. Because remember the call with Will. Who am I speaking to? He's like, I'm the motherfucker with the wand. Who's this? It's like, you know, he's
Yo,
like,
he was
he's
so.
like, so you have the wand. And he's like, oh, okay, where are you? Like he was so calm. Like, okay, like I'm just doing business.
Yeah.
Like either he wants the wand for himself or he's working for someone else who
Who
wants the wand.
knows?
So good that they're letting Will Smith curse a lot more in movies now.
I love it.
He needed to. He needed to
love
pop
it.
that bubble. Like he looked like restrained in a couple movies. Like, oh, I want to curse, but I can't.
Yeah, Deadshot should have been cursing.
Word, lot
Word.
more.
Oh, that would have killed.
PG-13.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they killed him with the rating.
But we've definitely hit the mark now.
Yo, for real.
So how many wands? We're gonna rate this on wands. We're gonna do our order again: Powerpuff to Lion King to Villainy.
Okay.
Hey man, I like that. I like
Out
it.
of
I like
10
it.
wands, I want to give it.
It's a comic book podcast. Bob, subscribe. Don't ask so many questions. Follow the leader. Rah.
This channel, I just had a blunt, so I don't know what's going on.
No.
Well,
You came at the end of the show, Damu. You just have to rewind.
He'll be all right. Bob, follow
I'm
the
just
leader.
happy that he's so honest about what he just
It's
did.
Bob. Bob
He's
is.
like,
Bob.
He's like, I'm high.
It's Bob. You guys will get to know him if he comes back
I'm
around.
turned.
Let's just end the show before he says something crazy.
Yeah. Before Bob
please.
gets real
So-
Bob-tastic.
How many wands?
Out of 10 wands, I give it like a. I give it a 6.5 out of
Okay,
out of 10 wands.
Cool.
It's not 27%. That's
Yeah,
not
Definitely
fair.
not
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
That's not even fair.
Ridiculous. I'd definitely give it a 7.
Ooh, yeah.
Definitely give it a 7. Yeah, it's not as bad as a 6 in my opinion. It's not an 8 because it's only a movie and they could have incorporated a lot more in there, or maybe they tried too much and it was just a movie, But 7 is perfect. Maybe even I might even push it for 7.5, but I'm comfortable at 7.
Yeah.
It's a great watch.
Yeah, I think we're all in the same ballpark because that's what I think. Like around 6.5, 7.
Wow.
It's a fun watch and it's a conversation starter. It's not perfect. It's not even like, I don't know. It's not even like you can say like this is a great watch, but it's a conversation piece.
It's something to watch.
And it has so many good ideas. So check
we don't
it out.
need any Love Bob right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, let's up.
He's
Bob.
Love Bob
Be
right
scared.
now.
I'm Love Bob right now.
No, we good.
I hate Love Bob.
By the way,
Good,
I want
Love
to add
Bob.
this. It becomes a 7 for me because of Will Smith. It really does.
Will Smith
Will
sells movies.
Smith is just.
All right, so I give it a 7. Oh, Mandark's here.
What's up, Mandark?
Hey, man.
So I'm gonna give it a 7 for one. It would have been a better series than a movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Which leads into why it would have been better because there's so much baggage on these characters that need some more development before it came to some like the way the movie started. I felt that there was a thick story that could have happened before we even got to the Wand issue.
Yeah.
And thirdly, yes, some of the dialogue and some of like I don't know, some of the
It was cringy.
presentation was like, okay, this could have been delivered a little bit better,
I
especially
need that
'cause-
wand, Holmes.
some of it was just like a lot of some of the cliches were too cliche. Like the elite elf enemies were like, okay, we're badass. We took on an entire police platoon and gang members, but a rookie cop, a Morgan Freeman cop who's at the end of his career, and Crazy Tika is handling us and actually kills us.
You think?
Like they were
Yeah,
too
you're right.
elite for them to get picked off by these scrubs. I'm sorry. Like that was the one thing that made me cringe. I was like, yo, they better not get, because that's what made a good chase movie. They were getting chased by these elites. Like we can't get caught. We got to meet up with the feds so there's an actual even fight here. When they fought in the Shield the Lighthouse, I'm like, you guys are handling this group way too well. Like they was in a titty bar laying down bodies quick. Like
Ninja
synchronism, ninja elves. But
Yeah.
you let Jacoby push a table to you,
No.
and Jacoby can survive a car crash through an aisle into a freezer. Like
Well,
what's happening?
It's
here?
it's
Like,
it's
some of that- some
plot
of that
armor.
stuff-
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Plot armor.
yeah. He is the Skyrim. Like if you're a story
Yeah.
character, you survive. But yeah, so
Plot
I
armor.
give it a 7 because those are some heavy drops and like
Nice scars, by the way. What scars?
Nice scar. Are you? I hope you're not referring.
I
to
think it
the
means
lion.
scarf
Oh, scarf.
Oh.
because it's the only thing that
Yeah, very nice scar. Supernatural.
Okay.
can be. So yeah,
you, Mandark.
we're all pretty much at a 7.
Mandark, when's the
Are you
mixtape coming out?
are you yelling at us?
Yeah, he's writing.
Because I feel like you're yelling at
That's
us. You
that-
have
Bob's
you have caps, bro.
Bob's keyboard is messed up and only writes caps.
That's so funny to me.
I need
that's
to-
so great.
I need to
This channel is
introduce
so
you guys
calm.
to him.
My
Yeah.
mind can't handle it.
Yeah,
It's maybe it's
Scarf.
because you just spoke a blunt, bro. But I understand.
He's used to villainy. That's why.
Villain's full of color and
yeah.
anger.
And
This is a
anger
talk
and
show.
oh, we can get angry. We just
We're not talking about
Okay.
Oh, Mandark rates it a 8 out of 10. That's a woo.
That's not bad. I
No,
mean,
all right.
Hi.
Listen, it's
I won't
cool.
accept
It is,
someone else
yeah.
saying an 8. I won't argue with nobody
Yeah,
saying an 8.
it's
I
still
wouldn't argue with
it's
that,
still
yeah.
entertaining and good movie.
Once you go into the 9-10 territories, where I'll be like,
9, 10, you're like,
Reach.
whoa,
Reach.
you're
reach.
reaching,
Right.
So yeah,
but
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
We're here.
And we know the second movie's coming out. So no
High hopes.
series.
Samuel
I
Jackson,
hope-
do it.
I
Sam.
prefer a
Do it,
series,
Sam.
but high hopes for a
I
good
think we all
movie,
do
yeah.
at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the third time around it might get. Who knows? It might.
I mean, but then it means I have to get Will Smith to dedicate himself to a show.
Well, maybe they might.
He doesn't- he doesn't need to
might,
be
They
there
might do it in a different,
second
like a
one.
different.
I
group
did
of
another side, another
characters.
story.
For
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
He doesn't need to
follow
be there
Tika
for the
and-
TV
yeah.
show. He doesn't
Same
need to be
universe
there.
and whatnot. Yeah, definitely.
If you can't tell, I'm obsessed with Tika. She's adorable.
Yeah, I
She's a
know.
Pokemon.
Needs more lines.
I ain't angry.
Need more
I
rage.
Just hate you or love you. Yeah, seem calm. Respect.
He's from Trinidad.
Oh yeah, love. I mean, he's Love Bob right now.
Yeah, we're lucky. Consider yourselves lucky.
Yeah, man. We talk about comic books and movies. If you like that stuff,
And occasionally we
please.
break down video games.
Yeah, occasionally. If you like that stuff, man.
Because if you were there for
We're here.
if you were there for the Friday night Naruto stream, you should have seen me play against him in Naruto. That would have been an interesting
we
night to
do
watch.
We do a few things. So, but yeah, okay.
So yeah, so 7 across the board. Her 6.5, but it's still in the 7 ballpark.
Yeah.
7, of course.
Yeah.
Our boy gives it an 8. That's fine. All right, cool. Now, since we're at the end, shout outs
Shout out.
all across the board. Stalling with.
We're gonna break this.
Are
Don't
we
break the
looking at
site.
me
Don't
for
break the
it?
site.
Don't break the
Wait.
cycle.
Don't break the site.
Whoa, wait. What's
The
going on?
Powerpuff.
Oh, sorry.
Girl.
Well, this is Yellow Buff.
No,
we done?
no. Shout out.
the
We're
shout-outs.
shouting out. I'm like, okay, are we done or not?
No, shout outs.
Shout outs, obviously, Speaking Mind Radio, lovely platform that hosts us. Obviously, Villainy Games.
Talk to me like a villain, Bob.
is that what you were looking for? Because that didn't sound angry.
No, just energy. You
This
just want
can sound a
energy.
lot worse. I just didn't want to do it on the mics because
Yo.
Understand.
we're headphones on.
Yes.
I'm used to doing this without headphones on.
Yes, shout out to OTR.
She
Shout out
shouted
to Real Point. I'm sorry. Oof.
The real
I was-
ish stalkers.
The real shit talkers. And yeah, so shout outs to Fortress of Solitude in Newark, New Jersey. Shout out to Joker's Child in Fairlawn, New Jersey. And yeah, those are my shout outs.
Any other shout outs?
Shout out to Bob.
Shout
Shout out to Bob.
Good stuff.
Shout out to
Shout out to
Duke.
Mandark too.
Shout out to
Shout out to
Duke.
Duke. Everybody in the chat.
Duke and his dookie.
Duke.
Dead ass Duke.
Viva la villainy, like Bob says.
Okay, well, I'm guessing that's all there is. We'll be here next week, same time, same place, and as the sun set on this mortal world.
As usual, guys, if you like this podcast, be sure to hit that like button. Leave us a comment of what you'd like to hear us talk about next week on Darkened Hour. I'm Aesop the Alchemist.
Joshua X Snowheart.
Read that last line, Josh.
Shout out to DX's hairline.
Burn!
I'm so confused. DX's?
You don't know who DX?
DX.
DX the Great?
Your
DX
son.
the Great.
Your son.
That's messed up.
Your son.
He loves going on DX's hairline, but let's end it.
Yeah.
My
It's
son?
It's about to get wild. It's
Wait,
about
you
to
ain't
get
go.
wild.
You ain't gonna be talking about my son like that.
Oh man, you're
Okay?
you're about to start some craziness.
No,
Burn
but his
shot.
hairline is for real though.
Oh,
Anyway,
burn!
you can land an airplane on that. But anyway, all right, guys.
Oh, man.
This is Joshua X Snowheart.
You ain't gonna hear the end of it. This is Nolly Moore of the existential villain.
And Tila Buff.
And we'll get back to you guys later. Cheers.
Peace out.